So we know that there are going to be 4 future X-Force heroes. We just don't know who yet. So that's what I want to talk about first in this Reddit reply. So let's pop on over. This is the, I guess, famous silhouette now of these 4 heroes. And for me personally, I think this left one here is X23. For those that don't know, this is kind of what she looks like. Some depictions of her at least. And that she has like an apple or a meatball or a something on one of her claws. Now, the only thing that's kind of weird is it only shows one claw. And generally speaking, like she has 2 on her hands. So I've seen some people bring that up, is unless it's like a weird angle where like both are like in line with each other. And that's why you can't see it. So it's a little bit weird of an angle that you're only seeing one claw there. But I still think X23 right now is kind of my best guess on who this is. These 2 are tougher that we can get into in a little bit. And then to me, this one is Deadpool. This one almost is completely obvious to me as Deadpool. For those that somehow don't know who Deadpool is, here he is. But I think that's the case because to me, I believe he likes tacos, and I think this is a taco right here. But more importantly, he's kind of breaking out of the frame, kind of breaking the fourth wall, which is like a big thing of his, right? If you've seen the movies or read the comics, he breaks the fourth wall a lot. So there's a bunch of guesses on who this can be. This guy here, there seems to be some guesses with Angel or Nightcrawler, right? Some people are guessing that they can see some of the feathers, I guess, down here or something. Some people see that this right here is the tail of Nightcrawler, feathers for Angel. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm guessing, I guess, Angel right now because I don't really have a better guess. But I really don't know. And for this one, some people guessed Hope Summers. Some people, like me, are guessing Psylocke. And I forgot what the other one is. Zynal is the other one that people are guessing. Psylocke. It was like a Sinel or Sinal. I don't know. I don't know the person that well. But yeah, there's some other different people just kind of guessing roughly the same things. Oh, Fentomax was another one in Trenchcoat that people were kind of guessing on a lot, and I think a lot of people wanted Fentanyl Max, but they were a little worried because the ally has already been announced, so they're like, maybe not. But yeah, some interesting guesses down here. So I guess the very first thing, Siren, this one. This is what a lot of people were guessing as the other one that could be the female. So generally speaking, it's always 2 males, 2 females. They usually keep it pretty even. So anyway, that's the guesses. I guess we'll start with, let me know in the comments what you think who it's going to be. I'm pretty interested. I'm pretty excited for it. I know there's a lot of people I saw kind of disappointed that who was it? Forge wasn't like an obvious one that was out there. They thought Forge was going to be. There's some other people that are kind of like X-Force, like related somewhat, like Iceman, I guess, has some ties to X-Force. I don't know the X-Force really well. Don't judge me. But I guess there's some ties in with that and some other things. So I saw some people were a little bit disappointed. I don't know. I mean, I don't mind whatever hero is. I just want the hero to have good mechanics at this point. So as long as they have good mechanics, I'm down. And if they're anything like the first 2 heroes, I think we're going to be good. So, all right, the next thing is Red Skull and Mad Titan Shadow. I'm planning on picking up my first expansion today. Which of these 2 would you recommend for someone with just the core box? Does one open up more deck building options than the other? And how's the difficulty compared to the 2? So with this, generally, I always recommend Rise of Red Skull first. I think that's always a solid one first. As far as deck building goes, the weird thing is, and when we've been doing these videos kind of recapping each cycle, they really do plan the entire cycle as a whole together, right? So if you're going to go with Red Skull, you kind of have to look at the hero's subsequent Red Skull, like coming right after Red Skull, because a lot of those hero cards and packs and aspect cards are going to play off of each other, right? And they're going to work together. The same with Titan Shadow, right? A lot of the hero cards after Titan Shadow comes out, they kind of work together, right? And maybe a little bit to like the heroes and aspects around that time as well, right? Like if you try to mix and match like Rise of Red Skull with a bunch of heroes from like the Spider-Man section, like they don't work well together. So I think it's important to note that it's not just the big box you should look at, but also whatever hero packs are in that cycle, because generally they seem to kind of play off each other. So, and as far as difficulty, Red Skull is still can be difficult, but to me, it's a more manageable difficult than Mad Titan Shadow. Like Thanos can be rough. Hela, once you figure it out, is easy, but she can be rough to begin with. And then Loki's just very difficult. So, in most cases, I recommend Red Skull, but I also like to throw out there that, um, again, look at all the heroes within that cycle because they generally, it seems, design an entire cycle at a time, not just like a box. And then, oh, what hero would be cool next, right? They design all of it together, and they're all kind of, I think, meant to buy as a cycle whole. Just like Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror, you were meant to buy the whole cycle. I think that's kind of how Marvel Champions is too, to a point, not to the same degree, but to a point. Am I playing defense events incorrectly? Hey, all, I've been playing this game for a very long time, but I suspect I've been playing something incorrectly the entire time in the game. If during an attack stage, or sorry, during the villain's attack stage of the villain phase, do I play a defense event? Do I exhaust my character and defend the attack in order to play the event? So the card will say so, right? The card will say so. And they kind of mention this right away, and they're like, oh, I've been playing super wrong. And don't worry, we've all done it, right? I make rules mistakes constantly all the time still, and I play a lot of this game, and I have a lot of people correcting me constantly, and I still get stuff wrong. So don't feel bad. But what I will say is one of the confusing things that always came out of this is because a lot of people will talk about the 1.4 rules update. I guess that was the last rules update now that I think about it. But a lot of people talk about it and how using a defense card counts as defending, and like that could be confusing to people, right? That like, oh, because the way a lot of people worded it was that you don't have to exhaust anymore to be counted as a defender. You just have to play a card to defend. And I could see there could be a lot of confusion with that, where people could say like, oh, like even though it says exhaust, they must be talking about this card when they weren't. We were kind of talking about something else, and just like, with retaliate and different things like that. So it's kind of a weird concept. Like I know a lot of people will look at this and like, what? How would you not know this? And I generally think because we who have been playing the game much longer kind of talk about the 1.4 rules and how it was different compared to way back in the day, and what makes somebody a defender, right? What makes somebody a defender? Where they just play a defense card, and that changed a lot of the game and a lot of the rules and how it works. And I could see some confusion there because people were like, "Wait, no, if you're not exhausting it, are you still a defender?" Yes, that was a part of the rules change. So I get it. It can be confusing. I totally get it. But to anyone who ever like has made dumb mistakes out there, like don't feel bad. Like again, I do it all the time, so it's a part of the game. So all right, last thing is actually in the board game subreddit, right? Board game subreddit, and I had to actually search it because it was 2 days ago, and this Reddit flies by so fast. But I thought this was actually kind of interesting, and it kind of weirdly pertains to me because a Final Girl, right? So for those that don't know, I've been wanting to play the new season of Final Girl for the Sunday morning coffee. It might be here in time to do for this Sunday. I'm still not sure. Like supposedly it's on a truck somewhere around me. I don't know. But what was kind of interesting is they talked a bit about this. And I think this is an interesting concept that doesn't really get talked a lot about in this industry, especially if people are newer to board games. They might not know how Kickstarters were back in the day. So I'm curious what people think here. In a Kickstarter I am part of, there was a little snafu. The game was being shipped to backers, and the boats had basically docked locations, and everyone's hoping that they would get it soon, blah, blah, blah. And then some games appeared at Barnes & Noble before the Kickstarter people got it, right? So it's brought up a discussion in the comments that Kickstarter backers are entitled for expecting that they should get their games first, and that it shouldn't matter who gets the games first and who doesn't. And Kickstarter backers are just toxic people who get angry at everything. Complete side note, I always hate, like, I don't know what the exact argument was here, so I don't want to jump to too many conclusions, but I always hate that, like, when people have an issue and they're just like, hey, I'm really kind of like just frustrated about this and I'm airing it out. And especially if they're just doing like in like a low key mellow way. Like I get there's ways that people can aggressively do it and be like, oh, this company is the worst. They're terrible. But I've seen this on Kickstarters myself where people just be like, oh, that's frustrating. Like I wish I would have gotten my copy like first. Like I thought I backed it to get my copy first, but I didn't. And that kind of stinks. And people will like jump on this person for being toxic. That's not being toxic. That's just expressing your disappointment in something, right? Being toxic would be like attacking the company, right? And like telling how terrible they are and how they've ruined everything and they shouldn't exist and whatever. Like that's a toxic mentality. Being a little upset and just expressing that upsetness in a constructive way, in a well put way, isn't being toxic. So again, I don't want to jump to conclusions because maybe the people who are in this chat were just like absolutely terrible. I don't know. But this is like a whole nother side note that I feel like we never really talk about. Not much of a Kickstarter backer, but I disagree. If I support a project and pay money up front in advance, yeah, I should be entitled to getting my product first. And they kind of talk a bit about this, and they don't say anything wrong about feeling this way. And the top comment comment was, all I want is clear, honest communication from the creator and shipper and all this fun stuff. So the reason I bring this up and relate to Final Girl was this wasn't a Final Girl project. I don't think this was a Final Girl project. But as others have, detailed distributions often out of the hands of the publisher. Canadian backers of Station Fall still have not received their copies because Fun Again, they don't exist anymore. For those that don't know, is that Ion Games Fall? What can a publisher based in Europe do to prevent this? Whatever. So another situation arose in Final Girl 2. The additional inventory costs make absolutely sense why they need to release the retail despite not all backers receiving their product yet. That'd be me. The transparency is appreciated. So they did have this whole update, and they talked a bit about it, and they said, look, our goal is that we're going to start sending it to retailers, but our goal is for all backers to get their games before it goes to retail, except for like a few stragglers, right? And that's basically what it is. So they said that the street date's April 15th, whatever. And okay. So I think this brings up like kind of an interesting conversation of what to expect as a Kickstarter backer. Because here's the thing. This is like a really weird topic because it's evolved so much over time, where long ago, 5-6 years ago, when you were a Kickstarter backer, one of the reasons you did it is because you got promos that were Kickstarter exclusive, right? You got them because they were Kickstarter exclusive, and if you didn't back now, you wouldn't be able to get them later. And probably around like 2019, I want to say, and this is me just from memory, this might not be completely accurate, there was kind of this really big push in the industry that there shouldn't be Kickstarter exclusives, that it was, taken away from people who couldn't afford it at the time, or it was taken away from people who chose not to get Kickstarter or whatever, right? Like it was deemed a bad thing. So a lot of publishers stopped doing Kickstarter exclusives. And what they started doing instead, and they're now getting backlash for this too, which I really disagree with, is they'll give free stuff to the people that back the game, right? But charge people later on for it. And people are getting upset about this too. So for me, that was a big reason I backed Kickstarters back in the day, was because I wanted the free promos. If it was a game I was really interested in, I wanted the free Kickstarter promo, right? Like, and especially if I couldn't get it later on. Didn't that push FOMO stuff? Yeah, maybe. But like, I don't know. I was kind of always the type that, like, unless I'm like really interested in this game or I think this has a place in my shelf, I'm gonna back it anyway. It's a nice bonus. But the industry decides as a whole they're not gonna do that anymore. And now with this separate thing, at least I get some free stuff and it adds more value. Hopefully they don't get rid of that. One of the other things I've always seen on Kickstarter pages was that you would be guaranteed to get your stuff first, right? That's the reason you're putting this money up front a year or 2 years in advance, right? So that you get all this stuff first. And I don't know if every place says this now, or just like some of the places say it, but I think this is kind of like a benefit that's supposed to be it, right? Like, especially for content creators, like, it's really great because if I can get it slightly ahead of retail, that helps out with content creation. Now, I know that most people aren't content creators, but like that's a small benefit for me. And the thing is, I expect to get my game at least around the same time as people at retail, right? Like, I don't have to get it exactly at the same exact time. I don't have to get it months before or whatever. Like, I just want it around the same exact time. Like, if it hits, like, right now, I don't have Final Girl. If Final Girl hit streets shelves yesterday, right, and I still don't have it, but I get it 3 days from now, okay, like, whatever. It's to me, it's not that big of a deal. There does become a line though, like, I don't know, I would give a company almost a month, right? Like, if it hits retail and I haven't got my game a month later after that, then it kind of stinks, right? Then it kind of stinks. So the thing is, I think it's okay to be a little bit entitled as a Kickstarter, because the thing is, again, you're not ordering a game, right? You're backing a game. And as Kickstarter and GameFound say, there's no guarantee that this game is ever made. So you're risking a bit of money, right? You're risking a bit of money to take a chance on the company, no matter how well founded the company is. You're taking a chance on the company that they are going to use your money responsibly, and they're going to bring this game to life, and then they're going to send it to you. But there is no guarantee of that. There's plenty of people that have been burned on Kickstarter, right? So I think it's okay to feel a little entitled, right? And again, don't be a terrible, awful person in the comments or to the company. But I think it's fair to have like a little bit of expectations, right? And again, the biggest thing is companies just be open and honest, right? Like, I know I've talked about Street Fighter 5 before with their GameFound page, and they've done a great job of being open and honest. That's really what it's about, right? Just be open and honest about things. So All right, so we started this Reddit reply talking about the 4 upcoming X-Force heroes, and the reason being is because the new, or what is it, Next Evolution. The Next Evolution box has been announced, and if you haven't seen my video about it, it's right here. Make sure to check it out. It was a fun one to put together. It's a bit longer than most because we really went into detail on it, and we really went through it, and it was really cool and fun. I'm pretty hyped about this box, and if you made it to the end of this video, do me a huge favor, hit the like button, hit subscribe. See y'all next time.